and all the ancestral stuff that it's gone on with royalties, then you can have a situation like France where they just cut their heads off and exile all the kings, and then guess what? What is France?
Well,
what has France benefited from not having royalty? It's a fantastic moneymaker. It's a fantastic tourist draw.
No, France is more broke than Spain.
Well,
but they don't say it because
but they shouldn't have gotten rid of their king.
They censor the press. No, they have a president on top of the president of the republic. So no,
France should have a king.
France is a different case. Thanks to the French Revolution in 1789, 14 juillet, nowadays we all benefit from being actual free people. Just like back in the Roman days, that you had free people and everybody else was slaves.
I don't agree with you.
Thanks to the French Revolution.
I don't agree with you.
Thanks to the French Revolution.
You're going on your You're going on your colonization trip again.
Come on, man. You were a colony. You're half Cuban, so you're part of the Spanish colony.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And quite frankly, Spain should have kept Cuba because you wouldn't have.
La joya la corona, chico. That's why.
Más se perdió en Cuba, dicen los españoles.
Who's doing business with Cuba nowadays? Not the U.S.
No one does business with Cuba.
Everybody else. Oh, yes.
Who's getting swindled by Cuba?
The whole Europe is doing
Who's getting swindled?
Doing business with Cuba.
And they're getting ripped off. And they're getting ripped off.
Let me say something.
All those Hotel Melias, all those Hotel Melias are broke and stolen by the Cuban government after the Spaniards invested.
You mentioned the
millions.
Kennedy family a week ago or something like that.
Whose family?
Kennedy's. You know that JFK?
Yes, I know.
Well, JFK, he used Switzerland as an instrument to negotiate or talk to or with the Cuban government back in the day. And Obama, when he started the negotiations with Cuba, I believe it was in 16 or 14 openly, that negotiation through Switzerland was terminated. So it was a direct communication U.S. with Cuba. And wouldn't you prefer to take care of your backyard yourself and not someone else?
I would. If I were to agree with everything you said, perhaps. But if you think the United States needs Switzerland to speak to Cuba, they only do that as a comfort zone. The truth is, the CIA and the Castros, they text each other every freaking day. If you don't think for a moment the CIA has been running an experiment of over 60 years in Cuba, you're smoking something. Over there in Deerfield.
Cigar, brother?
Yeah, in Deerfield Beach, okay? The United States and the government of Cuba have been playing this good cop, bad cop thing for a long time at the expense of the Cuban people. The problems began...
So we're waiting for another second revolution when the people...
Never.
Yes.
It's Alcatraz. It's over.
But you
it's
yourself,
over for Cuba.
With all your principles, with your book, what you say, that the people have to get back the power. The people have to get the power from the politicians which are sent to Washington.
No,
right?
That's generic thinking inside the box.
Aren't you talking about...
I'm outside the right side of the box.
Okay.
Just outside it.
Within the right box, inside of it, you always say that we are local state government...
Okay. We're United States
who appoints our
for America, not of America, as the leftists. They misuse the word of.
Exactly. Who we appoint our senators towards Washington.
They should have.
We
have repealed. We took away that with Amendment 17.
Okay. And what I'm saying now.
And we've been broke ever since.
That revolution of bringing that power back, that's a revolution.
It won't happen in Cuba. It's over.
I'm talking about here. When you want...
There's no need for a revolution here. All we need in this country is
to get... Why hasn't it happened? Why hasn't it happened? Tell me. Come on.
Because there's no need for revolution here.
No, but you want to bring back...
The revolution just happened. You just saw it. The election of Donald Trump.
People, but
in Cuba, there's the only thing that could save Cuba now is for the United States to develop the base that is Guantanamo into the most beautiful, shining city on the hill that once it's built, which would...
hotels.
With... I'm not necessarily saying hotels because the hotels are already there.
And
but
Guantanamo?
In Guantanamo, there's a hotel. There's also a university. There's also McDonald's. There's also all these things. Okay. I believe in developing, just like the Greeks in Cyprus turned Cyprus into a port and then expanded 2 military bases, one British, one Greek, and expanded Cyprus to the point where it's 80% Greek and only, 20, 30% Muslim. And that's ghetto of Cyprus. Now it's a banking center. It was famous for collapsing when the Russian oligarchs collapsed the Cyprus currency. Before I go down that rabbit hole of Cyprus, it occurred in 1959. At the same time, Castro came to power. That can be done in Cuba and Guantanamo. And one day, maybe, in a dream of all dreams, I'll be in the hole, I'll be more than dead, I'll be tieso. Maybe it could be the future of Cuba if we develop it as American citizens for veterans, by veterans.
But will Cuba be like Puerto Rico?
GitmoFreeZone.us. Google it. It's one of the chapters in thefiscals.com. GitmoFreeZone.us. 128 square miles of full redevelopment using Article 4 of the Treaty of Relations. Just enforcing it alone gives us the right to redevelop the base if the Cuban government cannot control its waterborne diseases. And they can't. That's already been established. I believe it was August. My book will correct me, but I guess, I kind of lose sight of dates. I think it was 2011. The what do you call it? The disease
around the corner.
The travel warning was issued formally at the Department of State. Be careful, go to Cuba, you'll come back with some funky disease that we don't have a cure for here in the States. And the treaty.
Cuba, no?
No, in Cuba don't. They won't even tell you how bad it is. You can't even get the findings, so you can't even get a strain of what type of bacteria. But it's there are people who are getting sick coming back from Cuba, especially after Hurricane Ike, when people started eating the same food that was washed on the rivers from the storm, contaminated foods, and the sewer system was spilling into the rivers as well. And Cuba did not allow the United States to come in there and give them water purification systems. So now you have that, plus the Cuban physicians who went to the earthquake in Haiti bringing back cholera. So there's a pandemic in Cuba that nobody wants to talk about. But guess what? There's a gentleman who works here on the island, who works as a chef, as a cook. I see him quite often. He works at one of my watering holes not being booze, but a place where I have coffee every day. His father is severely depressed because his mom went to go help family members in Cuba and died in Jackson Memorial Hospital, an incurable disease that they still don't know what killed her. And no antibiotics would react to it. So I'll leave you on that humdrum note. I think we're going to lose Greenwich for Grinch.
Yeah,
The Grinch. You're like the Grinch, right?
Exactly.
Ricardo the Grinch.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to go attend to
don't like
personal
Christmas.
matters. And he doesn't like Christmas. And he doesn't believe in Kris Kringle. Or Santa Claus, I suppose. I heard was a German guy. But anyway. So we're going to leave you. We're going to let Ricardo go. And then I'll be back with you in a moment. So I basically...
But I've left you warmed up and pumped up to continue, right?
I'm not so
hope.
sure.
No?
Because I've had to refute, all your debased ideas. We still haven't touched upon colonialism, which you keep on blaming the white guy for what's going on in the Middle East. That is like old as communism itself.
And we haven't talked about Spain either.
And believe me, which is typical of an attorney from Spain, that just not wanting to get into the heart of the matter.
Well, let me summarize briefly.
He doesn't even blame all this Muslim stuff that's going on in Spain. It's also going on in London. Everywhere. He doesn't blame it on Barack Obama's unleashing refugee crisis by vacating Iraq.
It's something much deeper than that, which we cannot talk in just 2 seconds.
Well,
but just let me briefly say one
2
thing.
seconds. I'll give you 4.
Okay. Central government said to Barcelona to put these pivots so that cars don't go on there.
And the
They
CIA
didn't
also
do it.
told them they were coming.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there we go. End of story. They were told to do something, they didn't do it. Who's legally responsible? The politicians. Will they be sued? No. Will they lose their
City
job?
of Barcelona
No.
couldn't get the money,
There you
or
go. They had the money. They have
The problem is that Barcelona
money in Andorra in accounts. Those what? Should we go in there as well?
Andorra. That's a bucket list. That's a bucket list for
Exactly.
me.
Give me some rock and roll, man.
Jamming me, baby. Tom Petty.
All right.
See you, Ricardo. See you. Be there. Be square. We kept it lively.
See, I told you.
Well, you got to come more often, bro. You don't come enough, right? Radio. No, bring your foundation people. Talk about what's going on. Hey.